The river moved fast, a relentless ribbon of gray water carving through the roots of the forest. Kidow sat perfectly still on a moss-covered branch that hung low over the surface. He watched the eddies spin and collapse, his head tracking the debris as it rushed downstream. The woods were quiet, filled only with the steady, rhythmic drone of the current against the stones. Then, the silence snapped. A sharp, frantic splash erupted from the bend in the river. Kidow went rigid, his ears snapping forward toward the noise. He shifted his weight, claws digging into the damp wood of the branch. Below, near a cluster of slick, submerged rocks, something was fighting back against the surge. A young fawn was pinned against the stones, its hooves sliding helplessly on the mossy surface. The water curled around its legs, pulling, insistent and cold. Kidow stared, his pupils dilating as the fawn let out a brief, strained sound. The calm of the afternoon vanished, replaced by the immediate, desperate reality of the struggle. He stood, his tail lashing behind him, eyes locked on the animal sinking into the churn. Kidow did not hesitate. He launched himself from the branch, his body a blur of motion as he plummeted toward the churning surface. He landed hard on a slick, partially submerged log, the impact jarring his frame. The river immediately fought back, a wall of cold, rushing water slamming against his chest and trying to drag him under. He dug his claws into the sodden wood, his muscles bunched and straining to hold his position. The current was relentless, pulling at his limbs with a heavy, crushing weight. He braced his hind legs, fighting the urge to be swept downstream, and lunged toward the center of the roar. Every movement was a battle against the river's sheer volume. He pushed through the spray, head held low to avoid the stinging foam. The fawn was only feet away, hooves flailing as it drifted closer to the deeper, faster channel. Kidow focused entirely on the struggle, his lungs burning with each frantic breath. The water rose higher, swirling around his neck, but he leaned into the pressure. He moved forward, inch by agonizing inch, closing the gap as the river roared around them both. Kidow reached the thrashing animal, his own paws barely finding purchase on the riverbed. He did not waste a second. He circled his long, thick tail firmly around the fawn's neck, using the appendage like a rope to tether them together against the surge. The river surged, a sudden increase in volume nearly tearing them from their precarious footing. Kidow dug his claws deep into the submerged gravel, his back arching as he braced for the weight. Every muscle in his body trembled under the strain. He pulled. The fawn gasped, hooves scraping uselessly against the rocks until they caught a firm ledge. Kidow pivoted his entire body, legs driving into the silt, and gave a final, powerful lunge. He surged upward, dragging the limp weight of the animal through the shallows. They broke the surface, tumbling forward until they hit the soft, dark mud of the bank. Kidow collapsed, his chest heaving, while the fawn lay sprawled beside him, water streaming from its coat. The silence of the forest returned, punctuated only by their ragged, synchronized breathing. The river roared behind them, now harmless and distant, as they lay motionless on the solid ground, alive. The fawn shook itself, sending a spray of river water across the bank. It stepped toward Kidow, its movements slow and tentative. It lowered its head, nudging the cat until its tongue began to sweep across Kidow's face in a steady, rhythmic motion. The cat leaned into the touch, his eyes fluttering shut as his heart rate finally began to settle. He shifted his weight to roll onto his side, a move that proved more eventful than he intended. A hidden pocket deep within his fur gave way. A cascade of dried leaves spilled onto the damp grass, creating an unexpected pile of green. The fawn stopped licking. It pulled back, its head tilting at a sharp angle. A new, sharp scent rose from the grass, cutting through the smell of river mud and pine. The fawn lowered its nose, sniffing the pile with sudden, intense focus. It took a tentative bite, then another, its movements becoming deliberate and slow. The air in the clearing seemed to shift, moving from the weight of the rescue to a strange, quiet fascination as the fawn discovered the unexpected treasure lying between them. The fawn chewed the leaves with a dreamy, glazed intensity. Kidow watched for a moment, his tail twitching once before he let out a long, slow yawn and stretched his paws deep into the earth. The sun began its final descent, casting a thick, golden light across the clearing that made every blade of grass glow. As the light retreated, the temperature dropped, replacing the warmth of the day with the crisp, clean scent of the coming night. The fawn stopped chewing, its head nodding as the effects of the stash took hold. It moved closer, curling its frame against the cat, and let out a soft, rhythmic huff of contentment. Kidow tucked his nose beneath his tail, his steady purring acting as a heartbeat for them both. Above the canopy, the first pinpricks of white light appeared in the darkening sky. The river's roar faded into a gentle, rhythmic hum in the background. They stayed there, two unlikely companions anchored in the tall grass, as the stars solidified into a brilliant map overhead. The forest held its breath, and in the quiet of the evening, the pair drifted into a deep, shared sleep, anchored by the peace of the clearing.